17. I sent you my books. Uh, you sent me a letter back thanking me for sending you the gifts. God told me your wife reads to you at night all the things that come in from American citizens. I am an American citizen. I'm born and raised here. Uh, I grew up in New Orleans and I moved to Florida about 20 years ago. And I met God last year. And God handed me the light of God. I explain in my book, Swagadelic, Halfway to Heaven, and how you can meet him too, the way I met him. After a week, the light of God stays with you for about a week. God stays with you and tells you everything there is to know about heaven and hell, and there is a God, and there is a hell, and the Big Bang is heaven. All the galaxies and universes out there are heaven. We use the suns as lights, and we live in and around the suns. All the planets have life on them. That is heaven out there. Heaven's gate is around earth, and hell's gate is under the soil around hell, at the core of the earth. Uh, the Big Bang is basically God. He came out here and started his own family, as what God told me. When you die, you go to heaven or hell. Your guardian angel escorts you there. And we play on God like a big pillow of love and light. And we grow up from there. As we grow up, once we can walk through the kingdom of heaven one time, we're grown up enough, just like when you go to school here. When you get out of high school, you're grown up enough to start your life in the world. There's the same way. Once you can walk around the kingdom of heaven one time, you're free. And as you're growing up, you can pick a spot out that you wish to start your own life in heaven and have a home. And the angels and God build you a sun and planets to live in there. Uh, as you grow up, you grow. This is basically a baby's crib. We're all just a bunch of babies, God said. You do not live in the White House. You live on a round planet. That is your home. It's round. Out there in heaven, it's as simple as that. God woke me up to the knowledge of to look around my environment and see where I'm at. God said he hasn't met anyone since the Hubble telescope has been up to share all this information with. Uh, and God told me everything. After that week of God explaining everything to me, it took a couple of months because it was so much information coming in. God had to keep putting me to sleep. It was just too much information in me. It's still a lot of information in me that I have. But God told me everything and woke me up to the fact that Armageddon is here. He told me he was sorry we had to meet underneath these circumstances, but he wanted me to move out the city that I was in South Florida because he was worried that I was going to die when Armageddon came here. He wanted me to move out into the countryside. So I moved outside of a small town. God said any city that you move out of will be good because Armageddon is here. God said we get sneak attacked by the leader of North Korea. God said that you are a great man and you are full of love and light. And God said it's your destiny to be our great leader, during Armageddon. God said you do 2 terms in office all the way through the war, and you're there after your 2 terms, still fighting the forces of darkness and evil because you have so much love and light in you. God said the leader of North Korea planned this last year. Mr. Trump, that's when the trumpets were played in September. Mr. Trump, God said he built 2 palaces on the border of Russia, the back door they call it, a little one and a big one, by some lakes and some rivers, and stocked them with 300 years of food. God said his people are there now. It's June of 2018. I give myself until April of this year to any time the war could come. I give myself until April of 2018 to be moved and settled in my location. And I am. My hope is that you receive this message and it helps you and others in some way. My prayer that night was for one other person to meet God, and my prayer now is for one person to take this seriously. We do get sneak attacked by North Korea, like we did Saddam Hussein. He's seen how fast and quick we did it, knocked out all his communications, and then he had to go live in a hole like a rat. We found him, we drug him out, and then his people tried him and hung him. God said he knows that's what his people are going to do to him. So this is his plan. He built the palaces by Russia, stocked them with 300 years of food. Everything he has now in his little palace, he has there too. He's not going to be losing anything. He doesn't care about anybody on this planet. He doesn't care about all of his people. He fires his nuclear missiles from his cities. And he has all his truck launchers fire dummy nuclear missiles up in the air with him that have nothing in them, the stage 1 missile rockets, along with the stage 2 missile rockets. And he fires them from all around his country all at once. He fires everything. And God told me he simply walks like dominoes, nuclear missiles out to our fleet over there in the Japanese Sea. That's what God told me. Our fleet is still working on World War II tactics. They are all grouped together. He knows where they're at. God said there are no secrets. He buys satellite time from Russia and from China. God said he knows everything. He knows everything we know. And God said he's the most evilest soul here right now. God told me what it takes to be evil. You have to do your sins and think they're funny. God said that's why he's always laughing. The leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. That's what God told me it takes to be evil and to go to hell. Like his daddy's in hell. God said Kim is going to go to hell. Just like his daddy. God told me what hell is. God told me where hell was. And God told me how hell works. God told me heaven, where it's at, and everything too. God awoke me to the fact that there is here. It is nuclear war like people mostly think, but it's here now. My hope and prayer, Mr. Trump, is that this information helps you out in some way. I know you keep making meetings with the guy. The guy only wants to meet you to see who his adversary is. God said that his father took him from his mother at 9 and put him in military school. And God said he did go to school to learn about the West, us, to learn about us and see how we think and what we do, to be the leader over there so he could know all about America, his dad's enemy and his enemy too. God told me that in the Korean affair that we killed a whole bunch of his family when we invaded a little village over there. Is what God told me. His father hated us, and instilled that into Kim for Kim to hate us. And his father and Kim watched what we did Saddam Hussein, and his father made him promise that if America came in to do that to him, if it looked like we were doing it, to sneak attack us with all the nuclear missiles he bought from Russia and all the chemical missiles that we got from China. They made the chemical missiles themselves. China set them up, North Korea, and the drug dealing business 25 years ago when China wanted to open up to the West. They went to Kim and his dad and opened up labs that make chemical marijuana, chemical methamphetamines, chemical everything, chemical cocaine, and this new drug called Korean dust. God said his chemists and scientists figured out a way to make it stick times a million. And it doesn't matter how much of the drug gets in your body, just a little bit or a whole bunch, it pops all your glands. There is no cure. And it's like you're criminally insane. God said it's love and light trapped inside of a demon. You basically go insane from it. God said we get sneak attack with that too in snowflake form in the missiles. God said it blows like dust in the wind from one end of America to the other. For a week, God said to stay inside. That when it lands, it sticks to whatever it lands on, and it slowly evaporates over a week. Or a hard rain will wash it into the soil. God told me everything. I met God last year, once again, in 2017, in August. Months later, I moved right at around the new year, 2018. I've only been in my location a few months, and I'm settled in now. It was hard on me and still is with the light of God because it's a lot of information in your brain, which is your soul. So it's a lot of information in my soul to have to go through. I sleep a lot because it's a lot of information still. Just like God put me to sleep the first 2 months because it was so much information, he still does it because it is a lot of information in my mind. God said in a few years that the information will be easier as it gets easier and easier to talk about, see, and think about. God told me everything once again. We do get sneak attacked by North Korea. God said you simply have to look at a satellite photo at night of anywhere in the world where there could be light and there's not. There's darkness and evil in the land. God said that once North Korea sneaks attacks us, the Muslim world sees that we have our balls cut off and they declare war on us too. God said once our flying forces start up, they do not stop. God said every single plane in our military is needed when the war starts. And God said that love and light always wins the day and always wins the night. To have no fear and to hold heaven dear, that Armageddon is here, Mr. President. God said all will fear that the great war whore is here. Don't fear, Mr. President. God said love and light always wins the day and always wins the night. God said when this great country was founded, they threw a great big party in heaven on this planet at one point in time, has united in freedom for all and for God. God said to tell you, Mr. President, gone wrong because of that you do not have to make this country great again. That this country has always be great because of its foundation. Its foundation, Mr. President, is for freedom, for all, for love and light, and for God. And that is God's foundation. This country is founded like a rock on God's foundation. We will win the war. Love and light always wins. And God told me, you have what 100 in America love and light is. That's how much love and light you have in you. That you can count 100 men in America, and you have that much love and light. And God told me why you have that much love and light. God said in the 80s and 90s, when we were watching you fly all around the world when you were young, in the 70s too, looking for love and light. You've always been that way. And God said, you're a great man already, the man that you are. God said, you raise your family right and you teach them about God. And God said, because you've been around the world, you've seen how evil the world is, and you've seen the darkness and evil in other places of the world. And every time you've come back home, you build more love and light. Is what God told me about you, that you already are a great man. And God said he's proud of you already for the way you've raised your family and for the way you've raised other people's families too. God said he's proud of you for the way you treat people. God said he's proud of you for everything you have done. And God said, although it is harder to get a camel through a needle than a rich man to heaven, God said you are well on your way to going home to heaven, is what God told me. Because people think that if you're rich, you're already doing things bad, but you're not. God said that you do a lot of great things with all the money you have. And God said, when the war starts, you lose a lot of your money, but you don't have time to think about rebuilding your empire. You're saddened by the war. Because God said, although I may love this country, and others are madly in love with this country as you are with a woman. And when the first bomb lands on the first nuclear bomb lands on American soil, your heart broke your heart, is what God told me. That's how much you love this great country of ours. Others may simply love it. You are madly in love with it, God said, just like you are in love with a woman, and your heart breaks and cracks when the first nuclear missile fired by North Korea, you find out, hit a city over here. And you give the standing order of the day. God said you act quickly and decisively. Fire a nuclear missile back to any location in North Korea that a missile came out of already or is still coming out of. The big one. And your order is carried out to a T. And you do lay waste to all of North Korea. Just about. Most of their cities get destroyed and become contaminated for the next 1,000 years. And that is what Kim is planning on. Because his plan is to not tell anyone he's alive or where he's living at, underground with 2 palaces on the one, by some lakes and some rivers, stocked with everything he has now in 300 years worth of food. God said he'll be watching it from his underground palace, the whole war unfold. God bless America, God bless the world, and God bless you, Mr. Trump. Swagadelic beaming out